Hey guys, it's Lojobo, and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 things that Speedcubers do that new cubers might find to be a little strange. The first one we're going to be talking about is doing 3 moves like R3 or U3 or just stuff like that. It might seem very counterintuitive at first to do an R3 versus just like an R prime, but it actually can be a lot more efficient. For the U perm I use, right here, I use an R3 to then do the U perm. And the reason I do that is to because it's faster to do that than it is to re-grip, like that. So if you do an R3, there's no regrips needed, and since regrips are really slow, it actually saves time doing an R3 instead of just an R prime. So that's just one case of when you might want to use a 3 move instead of just a prime move. But let's move right on to the next one. The next thing Speedcubers do that you might find a little strange is they will do what's called a wide move. A wide move is when you turn 2 layers at once like that. Now, you might think this is a little strange because you can just turn the 1 layer. That would seem to be easier to do than turning the 2 layers. But for this instance, let's look. You can see for the cross, all I need to do is do a D move, and that solves the cross. But it's actually more efficient if I do a wide U move. That way I can set up an F2L pair up here and insert it easily, just like that, rather than having to do D move, then a cube rotation, and do it. So it's actually quite a common thing you'll see is for them to do a U move, because it's actually more efficient to do that than do a cube rotation. The next thing that you can see faster cubers doing is they won't always go for the most efficient cross. So like for this case, if we just do an F move, the cross is solved. But that's not the best way to do it. What I would do in this case is do an L move, then F, then L prime. If you see, that preserved this F2L pair, so that gave us an X cross, so we already had that F2L pair in. So this is a fairly simple example of this, but it's quite useful to be able to see what your first pair is going to be. That way you can actually modify how you solve the cross to either preserve it or make it so it's easier to insert than for if you do this. Because if you do that, you see it pulls it out, then you have to do a sledgehammer or a basic insert, something like that, versus moving like that, which is a lot quicker. A lot of the time you'll see Speedcubers not do the exact best cross they can find, but have slight modifications to it to make the rest of the solve end up being easier. This next one might be a bit of a stretch, but I don't know, some new cubers might have not really thought about doing this. But so let's say we're doing F2L, we aren't going to watch what we're doing. We are going to do what's called look ahead. So let's say I'm going to do this pair. So while I'm doing it, I'm not looking at those pieces. I'm looking at other pieces, because while I was doing it, I saw this. If I was watching those 2 pieces, I would have had to stop, then look around to notice this. But now while I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be not watching that, and I notice these, so I can do those. But while I'm doing those, I'm not watching it, I'm watching all the other pieces because I noticed this. So you can just do that. So you aren't looking at what you're doing. This is called look ahead, and you are going to be looking for what you are planning on doing next. This will have it so there's no pauses during your solve. This will just make it a much more fluid solve. This will cut your times down dramatically. It's one of the biggest things is not looking at what you're doing, but instead looking at what you will be doing next. Now this next one, this is like the most advanced of the advanced. You will only see the top cubers doing this. It's like sub 4 or sub 5 second, sub 4 second solves. This is actually how they're able to get down that fast. So while they're turning, they will actually form an anomaly inside of the cube itself. And what this will do is it will cause their perception of time to change. So it seems like everything around them is going slower, so they can actually turn faster and get that sub 5, sub 4 solve. So to them, it seems like it's not a super incredibly fast solve. That's due because they're causing an anomaly inside of the Rubik's Cube, similar to a black hole, that's warping time around them to cause them to be able to solve at speeds that shouldn't be humanly possible. So those were the top 5 things that Speedcubers do that new cubers might not quite understand. But until next time guys, this is Lil Jobo, signing off.